Hello there, and thank you for tuning in to another edition of Just an Opinion. Today, I'm going to discuss the short-lived TV series, Just the Ten of Us. Now, this short-lived TV series was a spin-off of the popular show Growing Pains. It ran from 1988 through 1990. It was part of the inaugural TGIF that was a Friday night delight, and it even starred Freddy Krueger's most formidable foe. So with all this momentum, why didn't this show last longer? Well, I don't really know the answer to that. I'm not here to talk about ratings or reviews. I just want to talk about the series in retrospect. I enjoyed it during its initial run and also revisiting the series. But all of this is just an opinion.
Sorry, Coach. Just the starting pistol. Hey, he's fast.
So for those who don't remember, Growing Pains featured the character Graham Lubbock, affectionately known as Coach. Late Season 3 had a backdoor pilot for Just the Ten of Us in the two-part episode How the West Was Won. This introduced us to the whole Lubbock clan.
And there's still a lot of people in this world that care. And these two tables are full of them.
By the end of the episode, the Lubbock family was moving from Long Island, New York to Eureka, California. The spin-off immediately launched after this, releasing 4 episodes in the spring of 1988. A very short Season 1, but a full Season 2 would grace our television screens by October of the same year.
Out of here now!
So let's talk about characters. Our patriarch is Graham or Coach, depending on who you ask. He was played by Bill Kirchenbauer, who had an impressive comedy stand-up and television career. Graham is very much a bull in a china shop.
You want gherkins with your salami?
But a gentle giant at the same time, considering he's vastly outnumbered by the females in his house. Graham is a loving husband and very protective of his daughters. I wonder if Uncle Phil took some inspiration from Coach Lubbock. Elizabeth is the mother and la jefa of the family. While Graham might be the head of the family, she is the neck. She is the moral compass of the show, still a devout Catholic.
Did you just talk to me or am I crazy? I am? Oh, you're joking. Oh, that's a good one, Lord.
Constantly needing to pray for her amorous and rebellious teenagers. The Lubbock family was Catholic. This definitely found its way into the jokes.
God, we're here.
The Lubbocks! The Lubbocks!
But also in some tender moments.
Honey, maybe the problem is that you're looking for God to give you some big dramatic sign and you're missing the little lessons that he's giving you every day.
With 8 children, Graham and Elizabeth certainly had their hands full. A majority of the show's comedy derived from this reality. But also how often they temporarily lost control of the situations at hand.
Graham, we've forgotten one of our children. Dad! What about me?
For the kids, we'll start with Marie. She was the perfect child in many ways. In some episodes, Marie seemed like she was leaning towards a life of celibacy.
But this is something I have to do. It's God's will. He's calling me.
Marie, get your butt down here!
I'm coming, Lord.
But other episodes show that she was still a teenager with real feelings.
I'm not going to have a husband. Nuns don't have sex.
Next up is Wendy. She was definitely the most scheming of the bunch.
We're going. No more argument.
That's right, you gotta get home to cover for me.
Yes. No.
Oh, Marie, I'd lie for you if you got incredibly lucky and met some really desperate guy.
For boyfriends, Wendy always seemed to choose the exact opposite of what her parents looked for in a boy.
Pile!
Oh, geez, Louise, it's just my day's blitz.
Hi.
rock, babe?
While Marie and Connie may have had the book smarts in the family, Wendy certainly had the street smarts. Next up, we have Cindy. She certainly had the looks, but was also the most ditzy of the family.
Cindy, don't listen to her. She should be on her knees begging for forgiveness.
Yeah! I already said you could have him back. You guys, I can't believe we're fighting over this doink.
Kurt's not a doink. He's a really nice guy. You just need to get to know him. Maybe you should go out with him again.
She was the butt of many jokes, but deep down, Cindy had a core sense of values that would remain uncompromised, even with peer pressure.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Sounds great.
Shut up, Shorty. Stop picking on the idiots.
Rounding out the older kids was Connie. She was the most outspoken of the bunch. In a family that large, it's easy to go unnoticed, but Connie always made sure that her voice was heard.
Tell us, Sweeney Todd. His skin was pale and his eye was on.
But in some episodes, she went a little bit too far to prove her points.
Graham Lubbock has done more to kill theaters than John Wilkes Booth.
Next in line is Graham Jr., or JR. In a home dominated by women, JR sometimes had to resort to acting out just to get attention.
I'll tell you. As you all know, I've always been somewhat of an unusual child.
JR, how could you cover the school wall with obscenities?
While he was a growing boy, he couldn't escape the little brother stigma that his older sisters bestowed on him.
I think we've seen enough pictures. No, I'm enjoying it. Sure, the one where you can see his butt. Or not the one from last year's family reunion. He did it there too? He does it everywhere.
And even Graham forgot that JR needed some guy time with his old man here and there. And let's not forget Sherry.
Well, for what it's worth, the one that really gets on my nerves is Sherry.
Well, it's worth nothing.
Well, maybe not to you, but I'm just glad it's out in the open.
Because many times, unfortunately, she did feel forgotten and oblivious as compared to her older sisters.
Sherry?
But Sherry was like a combination of Wendy and Marie, conniving, but also brilliant enough to put on a sweet and innocent facade. We also had little Harvey, and eventually baby Melissa, but they were just kind of there in the background to round out the family unit to 10. When it comes to guest characters, we get a few friends that were on the brink of stardom.
But the real challenge in this world is how to earn a buck.
Oh, sir, I have to disagree with you.
Bill?
Well, I just think that there are more important things than making a lot of money.
What are you planning to be?
A poet?
Dennis Haysbert also made a few appearances as Coach's assistant, Dwayne Johnson. No, I'm not kidding. That was his character's name. Fans of Growing Pains might remember that Haysbert had a few spots on that series, and maybe Matthew Perry's guest role was that second chance that Carol had been hoping for. But they didn't stop there. There are a ton of actors who made appearances on both shows. There are far too many to name, but it's also fun to see. Now, they never actually played the same character. However, there was one actor who guest appeared on both shows in the same role, and that was Janitor Bob, played by none other than horror legend Sid Haig.
When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite thing.
Just the 10 of us made a number of Growing Pains references.
The best is ready to begin.
Maybe this was all in good fun, but perhaps just the 10 of us wanted to remain connected to Growing Pains in any capacity. Now, the other interesting connection just the 10 of us had was with Nightmare on Elm Street. The most obvious example being Heather Langenkamp, who most fans probably recognize from her role as Nancy. There was certainly a contrast in her characters between the two roles.
You would never catch me at a horror movie.
But it didn't stop there. Brooke Theus actually had a supporting role in Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, and even Joanne Willett had a brief appearance in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Also notable with this connection was JR's obsession with horror movies and monster makeup gags. We even had some good old product placement with JR sporting a Freddy Krueger shirt here and there. So when it comes to episode format, there really isn't too much to dig into.
What are you waiting for, a hug? Go on, get out of here.
Many times it seemed like they would just have 2 or 3 characters in focus, and the rest of the cast would just serve as peanut gallery.
We don't even speak the same language!
Yes, we do. Only I speak clean words, and you speak dirty ones.
Other times, though, Marie, Connie, Wendy, and Cindy would be the center point. Sometimes they combine their efforts to help out the family.
Wait a minute. We can't give Dad all this money. He'll ask how we got it. I'd be proud to tell him. Proud? Don't you ever think before you speak? Yes, I certainly...
But a lot of the time, the 4 of them would just get into trouble.
Oh, set it for the
While Graham was the bridge that helped launch this spin-off,
Ready? Clean up.
the 4 teenagers slowly became the focal point, even incorporating a singing act into the show dubbed the Lubbock Babes.
The summer's here and the time is right for dancing in the street.
Who knows? Maybe another spin-off was planned at some point. The subject material was fairly light and comedic.
All right. Who cut the cheese?
But there were some emotional episodes. One in particular, JR has his little heart set on a new skateboard for his birthday, but Graham thinks that making JR a new skateboard from scratch is the perfect present. It doesn't go over so well.
I threw away your skateboard because nobody rides a homemade board. It's dumb. Just get the yelling over with. Dad? Dad?
But in the end, both father and son learn a little bit about the other as their bond grows tighter. Surprisingly, there weren't really any very special episodes that seemed to be a sitcom staple at the time.
Hey, Bob, I've got trouble.
What seems to be the problem?
I got moldy buns.
There was one episode where all the kids were on trial when Graham and Elizabeth discovered someone's been smoking. But in the end, it was just Sherry and a desperate ploy for attention.
What do I have to do to show everybody I'm not a little kid anymore?
Well, smoking a cigarette's not the way to do it.
Well, nobody would sell me booze.
There was one episode, though, that maybe looked at differently through a 2022 lens. Cindy goes on a date with a handsy boy who won't take no for an answer. She ends up breaking his arm rather than her principles. The rest of the episode has Cindy questioning if she led this boy on and wondering if everything that happened was actually her fault.
It's all my fault, the poor guy. The poor guy. The stuff should have taken no for an answer. I don't know. I did lead him on. Oh, please, Cindy, you didn't lead anybody on. You're lucky you can lead yourself.
Even her own family debates if she should share part of the blame.
Is that I broke somebody's bones and I still don't know whose fault it is. It's yours!
Sweetie, of course it's not your fault.
Excuse me, but in a way it is.
It's interesting considering how this subject would be viewed today. And there is no debate. No means no. Period. Out of all the Lubbock children, though, I dare say that Connie was the standout child. She was very unconventional, often the odd child out amongst the whole family.
Shut up, Connie!
She was also the only kid that was sometimes at odds against her parents over issues more significant than breaking curfew. One episode has a more serious tone where an article she writes for a school paper has some backlash from the faculty, which causes the Lubbocks to almost lose their home.
You can't change what you've done. You sit around here all smug and sure, writing anything you want without any consideration for who you might hurt. Every time you open up your big, fat pencil, you drive this family deeper and deeper into trouble.
So, unfortunately, the show came to a screeching halt after season 3. The last episode airing May 4th, 1990, and it certainly was no finale by any means.
Bye, Dad. Just how many kids have I got?
Despite this, Connie, Cindy, and Marie all made appearances on Growing Pains as different characters in its early 6th season in the fall of 1990, just after the cancellation.
Look, Kara, I know I don't need to tell you this because I know you already know, but I've never actually been here with you before.
You're right.
We are Americans that set an example.
You make me sick!
Hey, look.
I spent every penny I had on this damn of a tour because of you!
In fact, Growing Pains made a few additional references to its spin-off after its demise.
If you went there, you didn't come back. I mean, isn't that where the Lubbock family disappeared? All 10 of them, wiped out without a trace.
It's arguable if just the 10 of us was the butt of the joke, or perhaps the powers that be wanted to still keep the show relevant. Who knows?
No, I meant JR and, what's her name?
The Muppet. Well, that's what you called her in the car.
Do you mean Sherry?
In the end, the show can boast that it was a spin-off of one of the greatest sitcoms ever. Yes, that is my opinion. And it was part of the original TGIF, which became a staple of Friday night television. It enjoyed a secondary run on USA. It's fallen a little bit into obscurity, not available on DVD or any streaming services that I know of. But it's certainly worth a watch if you like sitcoms from the late 80s and early 90s. Many episodes are available on YouTube, but with a little luck it will be available in better quality sometime soon. Thank you so much for watching, and please do leave a comment. I'll be back soon, but next time I'm going to talk about supporting characters from Saved by the Bell. And remember, when life gets hard, just keep on doing it the best you can. Nothing comes easy.